My mother is pregnant for my father-in-law. Story time. Zach and I have been high school sweethearts from the time that I knew Zach. Zach and I started dating when we were in grade 5, but because the relationship was not so serious, we were still young, but we still had very strong feelings for each other. And just like kids, we would walk home together, nothing too serious. When we got to grade 12, I eventually fell pregnant for Zach. Bear in mind, I was my mother's only child, and I never knew my father because I lost him when I was very young. My mother has always been that cool African mom that will let you date. She always did her best to advise me against being pregnant no matter how good the relationship was going. Fast forward to grade 12, I fell pregnant for Zach and I had no option but to tell my mother because she was literally my best friend. She was very upset because I was her only child, but no matter how upset she was, I eventually had to bring the man home that was responsible for my pregnancy. Zach was really my true love, so when I told him I was pregnant and that my mother wanted to meet him as well as her other extended family, he did not dispute to it and he made it in haste. Zach and I were still young, so our agreement was that I would go back to school immediately after I put to bed. The plan was to negotiate for marriage and everything else after we were both well educated, because despite the love, we knew that we needed school to survive in our country. When Zach's people came home, it was his father, his uncle, and an aunt. My mother didn't seem so happy, but his father and my mom seemed like they did know each other. Since we lived in a small town, I didn't think much of it. But after the negotiations, Zach was charged for damages according to our culture, which is the money that you pay for getting someone's child pregnant before you marry them. His aunt and uncle left the meeting, so the only people that remained were me, my mom, Zach, and his dad. Immediately, they told us they wanted to tell us something, and they sat close to each other on one couch, which was very unusual for in-laws to do in my culture because it was official that they were going to be in-laws. My mother began speaking, said they had something serious to talk to us about and they didn't want anyone else to be present but just the two of us because it only concerned Zach, me, and everyone who was present, which is his dad and my mom. When they opened their mouths to speak, my jaw dropped because my mother informed me that she was actually pregnant for Zach's father and they had been seeing each other for a while. So at this point, daughter and mother are pregnant for father and son. A small world it is. Honestly, at this point, I was just in tears, and from Zach's look, he was equally shocked at his father. I was shocked at my mother, not that I thought that she was a bad woman. Honestly, I think my mother was a great wife to my dad before he passed, but I was just shocked that what are the chances of her going out with the father of the man that I love the most. Zach spoke for the first time after a while of silence, and he informed our parents that he was not willing to let me go just because they had this relationship they had started. My mother could tell that I was very shocked and disappointed as well as sad, just to mention but a few of the emotions I was feeling at this moment. She asked me what I thought was right to do and I mentioned to say that I love Zach and since I'm already having his child, I would rather not jump from man to man but keep the man that I love and I'm also having his child. She jumped in to say I should be more considerate of her feelings because this is the first time that she's going to have a second child which she's always wanted and this might be her last chance because she might be hitting menopause anytime soon. Her statement was not clear enough to me, so I further asked for her to clarify and she said that I should terminate this pregnancy as well as the relationship that I had with Zach, so that she could continue with Zach's father and they could have this child that she's always wanted all her life. Basically, my boyfriend was about to become my stepbrother, only that I was pregnant for my stepbrother. I told my mother that I wasn't considering that and Zach also hopped in to support me saying that we are not going to terminate the child. However, it has been 2 weeks since my mother last spoke to me, and actually I think she might throw me out of the house because Zach's dad is about to move in. I have Zach's full support, but dealing with my mother has been a pain because I'm pregnant, morning sickness has been doing me bad, and now I have to deal with my mother's attitude. I went to the hospital without Zach's knowledge to ask what type of abortion options that I have, and they told me for an easier abortion I had to do it before my pregnancy really progressed while it was still small. Abortion is against my religious beliefs and Zach doesn't want us to consider this route. I really think I should keep this baby because honestly I don't know what fate has to offer and what if this is the only child that I'll ever have. At least my mother has me but I do not have any other child. This situation has really stressed me because I think I'm losing my best friend who is my mother and I might as well lose my man because his father is now going out with my mother. Should I consider what my mother is saying? Bearing in mind that she didn't know that I was dating her man's child.